Hey, everybody, welcome to the 15-minute FrightCast, shall we say the Reader's Digest version of the normal FrightCast. What we do here is a down and dirty review of a movie that we've picked, and normally it's just going to be me as the host and then one guest. Let me introduce myself. As the host, I'm Patrick, and with me, we've got Thomas. He's been on the show several times, and in fact, he was on the inaugural 15-minute FrightCast, which happened over a year ago. And this is only the second one we've done. Welcome, Tom. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
You bet. The movie that we are going to review today, as it was last time, it was Tom's pick. He suggested this out of the blue to me, and I thought, hey, this is a great pick because I have never seen it before. Tom, what is that movie pick?
This movie is called The Thing from John Carpenter in 1982.
That is correct. I have never seen this film. Does that surprise you?
It does, because I thought you liked John Carpenter.
I do like John Carpenter, but I have limited myself to his films. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to finally see this one because it is an icon in the horror genre. Just really quick, I'm going to read what this film is all about. The Thing from 1982, now running, I believe, on Showtime. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes, that's right.
Quite briefly, it's a research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. IMDb rating, 8.1. Metacritic score, 72%. Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 85%. And the audience really digs this movie with a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 92%.
Wow.
Yeah, do those scores align with your thoughts?
They do. I mean, it's become a kind of a cult classic, I think, to a lot of folks. And then if you're a John Carpenter fan, then of course it's going to have a following that way as well. We're probably going to delve into this in a bit, but I just wanted to also point out that it kind of we talked about this yesterday. It kind of goes in between horror and sci-fi, so you're going to pick up audiences that like both those genres. Yeah,
definitely. I classified this one in the same area as I did Aliens, because Aliens is a horror movie, but it's also definitely sci-fi. So it's a crossover. It's a crossover that I think is extremely successful. Watching it for the first time last night, it really kind of shocked me on how good this movie was, not just of content, but the way it was shot, the cinematography in this, the directing in this. It just didn't seem like a normal John Carpenter movie.
Yeah, this one seems... I do like John Carpenter. He's not my favorite director. There are some movies he's done that I'm kind of like, but this one I think he's got everything together. It reminds me a little bit of Brian De Palma, actually. I mean, he's got nice close shots, and we'll talk about the scares and those kinds of things. And since it's old enough, we can have any spoilers, correct?
Definitely. Anything that's over a year old, we go ahead and spoil on this show.
Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, you're in the same boat I was, and shame on you. And if somebody spoils it, that's your fault, not ours. So from the beginning, and I told Tom this last night, the opening shot was this helicopter chasing a dog through the snowy tundra. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why the hell are they shooting? Because I knew nothing about this movie. And I'm sitting there, why are they shooting this dog? I was so pissed at the person in the helicopter. I thought they were just hunting dogs or animals for sport at the beginning of it. And then once that helicopter touched down, and he didn't care who was standing around him, he was just going after that dog. And I'm sitting there going, okay, something's up with this dog.
Well, and I think he accidentally shoots one of the guys, doesn't he?
He shoots him right in the leg.
Okay. Yeah. And so they're flying in Antarctica, and this is a helicopter from a nearby, I think it's Norwegian research. Yep. And so that's all the information you get, because shortly thereafter, I believe the helicopter blows up. I can't remember how.
It's filled
gas
with
leak
kerosene.
Or something, right?
Yeah, it's filled with kerosene.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you know something's up at that point. He's trying to hunt this dog for a purpose. It's not for sport, because if it was sport, he would have turned away a long time ago. So you know something's up already. So I think they did a good job early establishing what the hell was going on. Mm-hmm. I know that there was a cut that was released on television that like the first 20 minutes was just introducing the characters before that helicopter scene even happened.
Oh, I don't know if I'd like that.
No, in fact, Carpenter hated it. And he made sure that any subsequent releases did not have that in there. That was released specifically for television. And I think that would have ruined it. I like the idea of opening up into that.
Yeah, it's a good opening shot. And also, it's good that we don't know anything about these guys because we're going to talk about it. But the movie deals on their paranoia.
Right.
And the claustrophobia that they have. And if we don't know any of them in advance, then we don't get to make prejudgments on who's what type of guy. And so that to me is a horrible idea.
It is a horrible idea because exactly like you said, the way it is now, we know nothing about these characters. We don't know how they're going to react in the situation that they're in. So that adds to the anticipation of the rest of the movie. So making sure that wasn't in there was a brilliant idea, or a brilliant choice, I should say. And, to tell you the truth, the movie itself was already an hour and 50 minutes long. And for me personally, that's kind of long for a movie. And if they would have added on another 15, 20 minutes just for character introduction, I would have been bored. I would have probably shut it off before we got to the helicopter scene.
Yeah. So Patrick, tell us who's in this real quick. Just a few of the famous people.
Well, first of all, I mean, Kurt Russell. You see it in all the pictures and everything else, the photos for this. The one that got me was Wilford Brimley.
Yeah.
That to me, he was unrecognizable because I only knew fat diabetic Wilford Brimley from Cocoon. So seeing him in this as Dr. Blair, that just caught me off guard. Other people of note, T.K. Carter, David Clennon, Keith David, for gosh sake. I mean, he's
Keith
done
David
a
is
brilliant
great.
career.
He's a great
Richard
actor.
Dessart, Charles Hallahan, Peter Maloney, Richard Masur, Donald Moffat, who's had a great career, Joel Polis, Thomas Waits, Norbert Weiser, Larry Franco, and that's just the first lineup that's on IMDb. It's a great cast.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, by the way, grew out his beard for a year before they started filming, just so he can have that iconic look.
Oh, wow.
For the film.
And he's got the goofy hat that goes with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had discussed that he was supposed to be like a Vietnam vet chopper pilot.
Okay.
So he kind of took that into his character moving into the film. Just brilliant casting all the way around. I really dug each and every character in this film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were believable. They were on spot with their choices, and it did keep you guessing all the way through, even to the end. And we'll discuss the end in just a few minutes because there is some controversy about the way this movie ends.
Yeah, definitely. So you're probably leading this discussion, but one of the things I like about this movie is it's just like you said, it's an alien that comes in. It's in the form of a dog at first, and then the dog gets put in the pen with the other dogs, and it starts to morph into this weird creature and starts attacking dogs. And then it eventually ends up that it attacks the humans. And since it can replicate, the crux of the whole movie is you don't know who is the thing because they're carbon copies. Yeah. So the thing I really love about this film is they're already in this claustrophobic environment, right? They're in Antarctica, close quarters, and the paranoia of who's it starts to settle in. And then you see how they start to turn on each other. So I guess in that form, the other reason I like it is it's kind of a psychological warfare. And I love that kind of stuff.
I completely agree with that. You never know. Even when they're doing the testing.
That's a great scene.
He knows that he's made the assumption that this alien creature will fight tooth and nail to survive to the molecular, the cellular level of their being. So he draws blood and then heats up a copper coil and touches their blood with it. And if the blood reacts, then they know which one is the carbon copy, which one is it.
And they're all tied up.
Exactly. They're all tied up.
They're all tied up while he's doing it.
And so he's going, petri dish to petri dish with this copper wire into their blood. And then when something finally happens, they built up that anticipation so well. So let's quickly, because to me, that was one of the things, like there was a jump scare in that part. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the scares to you in this movie, Tom.
I think, like I said before, just kind of the psychological part of who might be it, who might be not. They turn on each other. They put one guy into Wilford Brimley into like a prison, basically. And to me, that's good tension when that builds up. Some of the, I guess they didn't really scare me, but some of the cool effects, if I remember right, the head that turns into a spider was pretty cool. The dog morphing, the guy who I think is trying to do maybe CPR on the guy's body, and his stomach opens up and
rips his arms off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't normally it's hard to scare me, but those kinds of things were fun to watch. They're thrilling to watch.
To me, it wasn't necessarily a scary movie so much as it was full of tension throughout the majority of the movie. It did make you feel tense, uncomfortable, and wanting to see what happens. I know we're getting close to the grading point in the review. I know it goes by so quickly.
Gosh.
But just to touch on the practical effects in this film, they had a budget of $15 million for this film. But when you think that Alien, which came out 3 years prior to that, only had a budget of $11 million, do you think they could have done more with this, or do you think they did a really good job?
It's hard to say, because Alien definitely isn't the testosterone of Aliens. I imagine Aliens had a ton more money.
Oh, yeah.
But Alien also is kind of that type of movie where there's a lot built into the tension. So I think they did pretty good with the money they had. I like the special effects. They're not anywhere near what you could do today, but I think they're pretty cool for the time.
For 1982, I think they did a damn good job on that. And I think they even were nominated for awards. I don't know if they won. I didn't do my research in that area, but I think for 82, it was very effective.
And I know that we're running out of time, but we should definitely just touch base on the ending just a little bit.
Right.
So basically, the ending happens. We're spoiling everything here, guys. The camp is down to just two people. Everybody has pretty much died or turned on each other. And just because of what's been happening, one of them is the Thing. And it's Childs and McGrady, who's played by Keith David and Kurt Russell. And they're sitting down in this underground area, and they're just waiting for the person to change. And
it's left that way to the very end. Just them
That's the ending.
Waiting. Yeah.
And I love the ending, but I know a lot of people hate it because there's no resolution.
Well, and in the end, no one's going to survive anyway, because they just destroyed everything.
Well, that's true. The
survivor is going to freeze to death.
That's true.
So, all right, let's head to the rating. So we've got the fear factor, the gore score, and the overall rating / would you recommend it to a friend? So let's go with the gore score first, Tom. What do you think?
Gore score, it's pretty gory. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay, no, that's pretty good. I would probably put it at about a 5 or a 6. It's not quite as gory as some of the things I've seen, but I've seen some more extreme movies than you have. Mm-hmm. So I'd put it about a 5 or a 6.
Are you counting the snuff films that you collect?
Yeah, but the snuff ones that I film myself, definitely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so. And then we've got the fear factor. We kind of already talked about that, but where would it end up on your scale?
It's so hard to scare me. I would say it's probably about a 4.
Agreed. Once again, like I said, it's more about the tension than it is the fear or the scares itself. So then there's finally the overall rating, and would you recommend it to a friend?
I love it. It's just kind of a cult movie that I love, so I'm going to give it a 9. And yes, I would definitely recommend it.
Awesome. Like I said, having seen this for the very first time, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to give it about a 7.5, 8, right in that area. Definitely recommend it to a friend.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up. And Tom, there we go. Hey, we got the beeper going right now.
Perfect.
So, any last thoughts on the film?
It's a great, basically a thriller, sci-fi. If you like movies that are character driven, this movie, each one of the actors plays a distinct character. I think it's a good movie.
Yep, I second that wholeheartedly. So that's the 15-minute FrightCast as we discuss the 1982 movie, John Carpenter's The Thing. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll do more of these in the future. Like I said, it's been a year since the last one. We definitely should be doing more often than that. Tom, I want to thank you for coming on. You're always a great guest, and I know you're going to be here several more times. So thanks again for coming on. And on behalf of myself and Tom, I just want to say thank you and have a great time.